Well, there it is, guys. It looks like Microsoft is really screwing up. I mean, we already knew that, right? We've been talking about it on the channel for the last couple months now, and now the numbers are coming out, and the numbers are terrible. According to CNBC, Microsoft closes its worst quarter on Wall Street since 2008, and they're blaming AI for this. They're blaming the company's pivot to AI that nobody wants. And this comes right after they launched Copilot, and they pivoted 100% to AI tools. They're spending a ridiculous amount of money on AI. They're giving money to OpenAI. I mean, it's quite a mess right now. I do understand that Wall Street is down. I get that. In fact, there's a trending headline right here. But Microsoft is doing worse than a lot of other companies right now, and I think people are looking at them and they're like, "What is the plan?" Satya, what is the plan? Do you have a plan, or is it just to keep spending money on AI shit that nobody wants and hope that eventually you'll turn a profit? And that's what I think a lot of people are looking at with a lot of these companies. AI is a good tool, but it's not so good that you should, literally burn the company down chasing after it. So we're gonna talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. This is Kneon, this is CLOWNFISH TV, and this is a situation involving Microsoft, right? So let's take a look at this. This is coming from CNBC, and we talked about it before. They thought it was going to be bad, but it wound up being worse than they thought it was going to be. Microsoft closes worst quarter on Wall Street since 2008 on AI concerns. Redmond is in a pickle. Microsoft almost lost a quarter of its value in the first 3 months of the year, its steepest quarterly drop since the 2008 financial crisis. Again, yeah, I get it. Wall Street's not doing so good this week, but that's not the reason they're losing money. That's not the reason they're losing value. Concerns about the company include the return on investment for artificial intelligence build-outs and the adoption of Copilot. Microsoft's earnings multiple hasn't been this low since the fourth quarter of 2022 when OpenAI introduced ChatGPT. And that is also turning into a clusterfuck, right? It is. Microsoft just closed out its worst quarter since the 2008 financial crisis. Investors are soured on the software giant's prospects in artificial intelligence. The company's stock plunged 23% in the first quarter, a steeper drop than any of its tech peers or the NASDAQ, which fell 7%. Microsoft bounced back a bit on Tuesday alongside a broader market rally, with shares of the company gaining 3%, the biggest jump since July. While Microsoft remains dominant in workplace productivity software and through its Windows operating system, the company is facing twin pressures to grow efficiently in AI while also building out its cloud AI infrastructure to support soaring demand. Yeah, this is this is kind of funny. This is on Twitter. This is Marcus House. Yes, in case anyone was wondering, Microsoft still sucks in space. Look, it's not just the AI. It's not just that they're trying to shove Copilot in front of anybody with a pulse. It's that Windows 11 is like the worst damn operating system, and they just keep messing up update after update after update. They can't even get their core product right. They can't get their core product right. So yeah, I'm worried about them. I don't think they're gonna last. I mean, this is pretty bad. Redmond is in a pickle, wrote Ben Reitzes, I guess, an analyst at Melius Research, in a note on March 23rd, referring to Microsoft's headquarters in Washington State. He has a hold rating on the stock. He said the company has to use valuable capacity from its Azure cloud to fix Copilot, but has no choice since Copilot is needed to maintain momentum in its most profitable and largest segment. Nobody's using Copilot. Everybody's uninstalling it. People will use AI, but they don't want to be forced to use AI. And that's the biggest problem, which they don't understand, because they're trying to justify how much they're spending on it. So they're like, fine, we're going to force everybody to use our AI Copilot so we can justify spending more money on AI that nobody really wants. And it's not going to play out the way we think it's going to play out. The same thing is happening with X. Like, if you didn't pay attention, right? Elon Musk bought Twitter, turned Twitter into X, and then put X under XAI, and it's now powered by Grok. So when you're paying for X Premium, you're actually paying for a Grok subscription. That's what you're doing. And you're getting Twitter for free, right? They're kind of like forcing you to, and it's actually kind of insidious and kind of ingenious, because people don't realize they're doing that, and how they're incentivizing it is they're like, oh, well, sign up for Twitter Premium for a chance to win cash and prizes, for a chance to win some monetization, which is very opaque. We don't really tell people how the monetization works, or, you know, how many views translate into how many dollars, like literally every other advertising platform, because this is a short-term thing I think they're going to do to get people to pay for Twitter, which in fact is really paying for Grok, right? And that's kind of what's going on here. Oh, you're buying Office 365, yet you're paying for Copilot. You know, you're paying $100 or $150 or whatever it is for a Windows 11 license, yet you're paying for Copilot. But we're throwing in Windows for free. You know what I'm saying? So they have to justify all this shit. They basically have to force you to take it. Same with Adobe. They mentioned Adobe too. Adobe's the same way. Oh, you're signed up for Creative Cloud? Yeah, that's really you paying for our AI. And then we're throwing Photoshop and stuff in for free. It said software stocks are getting pummeled as part of an AI-inspired SaaS apocalypse. That'd be software as a service, which I worked for a company that was software as a service. So SASE, SaaS, apocalypse, has pushed names like Adobe, Atlassian, and ServiceNow down more than 30% this year. Much of the traditional software as a service is dying in terminal decay. And this guy wrote on X in a blog post, you know, the earnings multiples for software trail the S&P 500. Yes, it's just like people aren't paying for it. But I think it's not just because they think it's going to be replaced by AI. I think it's because they're pushing AI into products that people don't want AI in. If I wanted AI, I would subscribe willingly to ChatGPT. I don't need it shoved into my Photoshop subscription. You know what I'm saying? The dislocation in the fundamental performance of Microsoft and the stock performance of Microsoft and the valuation of Microsoft is the biggest it's been in decades. He said he expects the company's earnings growth to outpace the broader market this year. Wow, that's not good. There's no stickier product in all of enterprise software than Microsoft Windows and Office. Office has been trying to build a larger revenue pool by bundling it with 365 Copilot. So far, only 3% of commercial Office customers have licenses for it. They said, yeah, this is the guy who was, taking a look at the numbers. Luria, he said that he has access to 365 Copilot. He's not a fan. More importantly, he said Microsoft has pricing power with Office subscriptions. The company announced plans to raise prices in December. So with Copilot struggling to win over users, Microsoft said 2 weeks ago that Mustafa Suleyman, the former co-founder of AI lab DeepMind, who had been running Copilot development for consumers, will focus on building AI models. Microsoft has tasked former Snap executive Jacob Andrew with leading the Copilot experience for consumers and commercial clients. There's a concern that the Microsoft 365 Copilot business has not lived up to quite their expectations. That is an understatement. So this guy got demoted. Am I reading that correctly? This guy got demoted, just kind of like what happened with Blue Sky. They demoted their CEO. They tried to put a good spin on it, but they really demoted her because she couldn't do the job and the company was not performing. So they gave her another job. They made another job for her in the company. So this guy was in charge of AI for a couple of years? And they basically said, go build AI models. You've been demoted. It's like Batman, where they sent Lucius Fox to the basement. That's basically what they did with this guy. Sounds like a demotion at best. Former Jane Street trader Augustin LeBron wrote on X. The change followed departures of prominent executives, including Phil Spencer from Xbox and Rajesh Jha, Microsoft's highest-ranking productivity leader, who's retiring. Well, that guy's retiring. Interesting. Let's take a look at this. Augustin LeBron. Sounds like a demotion. They're shaking up their Copilot teams, and Mustafa Suleyman is freed up for super intelligent. Yeah, bullshit. Yeah. This person says, I disagree. He's been cut loose from the awful Copilot product and has been given free rein to build the foundation model at the frontier. Him and what army? Yeah, he's been sent to the basement. Yep. That's what I think's going on. They know they're fucked. So this is coming from Bloomberg, and this was yesterday. Microsoft CFO AI spending runs up against tech bubble fears. After making a controversial call to pause some data center development last year, Amy Hood, is navigating one of the toughest jobs in tech. So she's the longtime chief financial officer. She questioned the reliability of the company's internal projections and believed the spending binge risked getting out of hand. This is for AI and cloud services, according to multiple people working with her at the time. She made the call to pause numerous expansion projects. It was a controversial decision. News of the about face trickled out over the coming months, rattling investors who interpret it as a negative signal about the viability of AI. I'm going to tell you, as somebody who likes AI, they're overspending on AI. They are. They're in this like race to the bottom of the barrel. Microsoft defended the pause, saying it gave the company an opportunity to match data center positioning to regional demand. Bullshit. Bullshit. They know it's a pig in a poke, but they've already gone all in on it, and they have to continue to do it. Because you can't just say, hey, I know we just burned billions and billions of dollars, maybe trillions of dollars chasing AI, but it's only going to be about as good as ChatGPT. And sorry we tanked the company, guys. Sorry we destroyed the reputation of Windows, which was already in a pretty dicey state. Sorry we destroyed all of that to chase after AI for 3 or 4 years. Sorry we destroyed shareholder value. And that's actually going to get Satya Nadella ousted faster than anything, because the stock has cratered. I mean, it's not good. They said Microsoft's business is being held back by a shortage of data center space. Microsoft is a $2.8 trillion company with cash flow so stable its debt is considered nearly as reliable as U.S. treasuries. Billions of people use its products, which power much of the world's computing. And that is a huge problem. It is the same problem we have with Google, right? Where Google controls the internet, basically. Microsoft controls the operating systems and Google controls the internet. And you run afoul of either one of those entities, or one of those entities fails, and it's over, man. Like that is a massive, massive failure. And if more companies were smart, they would ship laptops with Linux or another operating system, or give people the option, or dual boot or something. Now, I did have a longtime viewer of the channel, Vincent, sent over a link yesterday talking about how supposedly Samsung is going to pivot to Linux. I'm seeing it on the phone side. I'm trying to figure out where it is on the laptop side, but I could see more companies doing that just to get out from underneath Microsoft dependability. I mean, that's the problem. People basically buy a computer, turn it on, they run whatever comes on it. They don't want to be bothered with switching operating systems. They said, despite commanding a gusher of cash, Hood has one of the toughest jobs in tech. Like her counterparts at Alphabet and Amazon, she must assess how much to invest in AI without starving other parts of the company or spooking investors with bottomless spending. Well, look at what's going on with Xbox. That, to me, tells me that they're cutting some things loose to spend more money on AI that literally nobody wants. Only 3% adoption of Copilot with business customers. That's bad. I mean, that's really bad. I said right now the consensus is to open the spigot wide for fear of missing out. Same thing happened with the dot-com bubble. Same thing happened with NFTs. Same thing happened with crypto. It's like I think AI is here to stay, but I think we're going to have to be measured in the spending. And I think they're going to realize that we're spending more than we're ever going to realistically recoup. If the goal is to replace all humans, it might be cheaper just to hire humans to do the job than to spend trillions and trillions of dollars on data centers and shit. And what happens if it all collapses? Then we've got all these empty data centers all over the place. Yeah, this is some bullshit here. They said her position seems secure despite the controversial call to slow data center spending. I think his job, I think Satya Nadella might be on the chopping block if the stock keeps dropping. They said Satya Nadella and Hood, the CFO, were peers and occasional collaborators as they rose through the ranks at Microsoft in the 2000s. In the C-suite, they've developed a kind of good cop, bad cop dynamic. While they establish company plans together, in many cases, Hood is the one demanding results. Oh, that's interesting. And she's not the CEO, but she's the one saying, hey, we got to make money. Her domain has only expanded in the AI era, and last year she received oversight of teams tasked with strategic partnerships. Inside Microsoft, headcount and the license to hire are tightly controlled. So there's basically two bosses. They said the culture has changed in the AI era. They said in previous years, our culture has felt supportive, even through difficult times like layoffs and restructures, said one worker asking a question during an internal town hall. according to meeting notes. However, with the recent changes, it's felt markedly different, colder, more rigid, and lacking in the empathy that we have come to value. Well, yeah, because they know they're going to replace you all with machines if they can. You don't want to get too friendly with somebody. You don't want to name the family cow if you're going to butcher it. You don't want to get too attached. So it's just like crazy. So apparently she's been pushing back against spending a ton of money on NVIDIA chips. And yeah, so I don't know. They're basically trying to explain it. They're like, what the is going on with Microsoft? It's very possible. I mean, they're saying that Microsoft's revenue is as stable as the US Treasury, but you get to a certain point as an adult. And this, I think, is this is the moment when you become an adult, right? You realize that there are no adults in charge of anything. It's one giant game of make-believe. Everything, the economy, everything, our government, it's all make-believe. It's all we decided, we have some arbitrary rules about things and we decided we're all going to mostly follow those rules. And if you don't follow those rules, and we've decided some other people have the power to make you follow those rules. And it's really interesting because as you're growing up, as you're a young adult and you go into the world, you keep thinking that somebody out there has the answers. Somebody knows what's up. It's okay. Adults are in charge. People know what they're doing. Everything's going to be fine. You just have, and then you realize, oh shit, even the biggest companies in the world, even the biggest countries in the world don't know what the hell they're doing. And you look at the U.S. government, like we're taught from, and this is like a total side tangent here, I know. You're taught from a young age to save your money, be good with your money. Don't overspend, save your money, invest your money, be smart, be practical, be reliable, be dependable. And then you realize that these companies are not that. They overspend. They overspend other people's money. The government overspends your money. They're not, so they're telling you one thing. They're like telling the plebs to be like, hey, you need to watch your pennies and, pay your bills on time and not run up a huge debt. And that is sound financial advice that literally the most powerful people in the world are not listening to. And that should keep you awake at night. Because the U.S. government, our budget is like hanging by a thread. And this is why they bully everybody into paying taxes, and why they bully everybody. These big companies don't have to pay tax. I figured this out several years ago. These big companies have lawyers. They don't have to pay taxes, or they find creative ways around paying what they should be paying. And instead, the government comes after people like us. By us, I mean you and I, and small business owners, and they shake people like us down because these big corporations spending trillions of dollars on AI that might just go poof tomorrow can't rein their spending in, and they're not going to give it to the government. Because it's really messed up. The whole system is really messed up, and we're all dependent on Microsoft, most of us, to run our computers. We're all dependent on Google, most of us, to find the things we're looking for on the internet. And as soon as you pull the wrong, I guess it's like Kerplunk. Have you ever played that game Kerplunk? You pull the wrong stick out and all the marbles drop. And that's what we saw in 2008. And I think we're going to see it happen again because we do not have adults in charge. Right? I mean, it's like we're on our own, man. That's one of the advantages of being Gen X is I realized it as a latchkey kid too. So I was the trope. I was the Gen X latchkey kid. So we're on our own, man. It's nobody knows what the fuck is going on. It's crazy. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to leave you with that cheery thought. So Microsoft, yeah, good luck with that. Every giant falls eventually. Again, we thought MySpace couldn't fail. We thought AOL couldn't fail. And it's very possible that one of these days Microsoft is going to be gone. And if I had to hedge my bets on how they would blow themselves up, it would be chasing AI and spending way too much on it and not getting a return on that investment. So I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.